Hello, good Thursday night. How are we doing tonight? All is well here on the Land Tamer stream. A little tired. Did do a change last night, aka this morning. Also, went into the AM. Um, but it went well, and we are on day 428. QoS marking lessons learned. The title comes from indeed that lessons learned during my first really QoS implementation and production that is of my own authorship. So, and it went pretty well, playing with, not really playing because actually I'd labbed this out, of course, beforehand in a test environment, thanks to EvenG, of course. And everything went well. I did notice some differences, though, on the platform that I was using. And there's one situation I did not test fully, but I'll go into that a little bit because this goes into what I'm studying here on my CCIE journey, day 428 of QoS. Indeed, in fact, we're rounding out close to the end of April, and my goal was to finish QoS by the end of April. By the end of March, I was supposed to be done, or I wasn't supposed to be. I was hoping to be done. I did not finish. And it has spilled into April, and indeed may conclude in April. Hopefully it does. But it's great timing because I needed to use it and got to use it in one particular area. And man, it feels really good. It feels really good. There are still times, though, that it's still so new to me that there are times where I go to try to explain something or I think about a solution to something and I'm like, I thought I understood this. And then I'm like trying to, again, refresh it in my mind how exactly the mechanics things are supposed to work. And I'll get confused again. So, but with each day, and in particular, man, I tell you, there's only so much you can learn, even doing a lab. When you actually have a business need to do something, to implement one of these technologies, that's when the rubber really hits the road, and that's where you learn. And just like last night, one thing I was trying to do was I was trying to classify, some classification and marking ingress on an interface. Hey, Mark Milo, good evening to you too, sir. So yeah, I was trying to mark inbound ingress on an interface, a particular interface, and some particular traffic, and it just was not working. Like I could do a ping right on the router, and I think this is really cool where you do extended ping and you can mark basically your ICMP traffic with any particular DSCP code that you want to use or IP precedence, whatever the case may be. And that's, of course, was learned from the INE workbook in testing your traffic. And that works cool. And that I used that, and that verified some traffic. Then I was kind of waiting on some traffic to come in and be marked a certain way, and it was not. So I used embedded packet capture on a router and started looking at the packets leaving the interface just to kind of confirm that, basically I was trying to mark in and shape out and use class-based weighted fair queuing outbound of the same router, different interface. And the marking was not working like I expected. So it turns out that, as far as I know, in the labs, like in the INE workbook, the lab on marking is for egress. And I try to research it, and it appears that, you basically do need to mark on egress. Now, you can change the marking using a policer, for example. We know that, like, if you're policing ingress traffic and you have traffic that is exceeding, for example, your committed rate, then you can mark it, right? That's the ingress traffic. That was not what I was trying to do, though. So anyway, lesson learned. Great stuff, though. And man, it's really helpful. It's like a whole new area of networking that I feel a little better about configuring, recommending, adjusting. You should have, thank you, Crisco. You should have no problem marking on ingress. I agree. I mean, like, I'm pretty sure I tested this in my EVG lab, but that was at the viral image. And this is a 4400 series router running iOS XE. And it has a port channel interface on it. And in fact, I got an error message. I realized, oh yeah, that's right. I have a port channel here. And it gave me an error message when I tried to apply it on the port channel. So I applied it on the physical interfaces that are bundled, and it allowed me to add that to the physical interfaces, but it gave me errors on the port. So there's probably an element missing there. Yeah, it's the port channel. So, but it did allow me to add it to the physical interfaces that are bundled in that port channel, but it still did not. It did not mark. So yeah, I got to figure that out. But it was really cool. Of course, I'm using a combination of tools. Random detect. One thing I learned is that when you do random detect, I believe by default, at least on, I don't remember this, Everest or which version of iOS XE, I have to look again, but you know, it had these different code names. And if you just type random detect, by default, that goes by IP precedence. If you want to use random detect with DSCP values, so let's say you have a DSCP value of 31, right? Or 41. Like, well, 41's not. Let's say you have 21, right? You're using assured forwarding 21. Or 22, right? Where you have a different drop probability value. So the IP precedence of that would be 2, right? But you want to use random detect, you want it to see the drop probability on that. That's why you're using 22 or 23 or 21. So in order to get random detect to use the full DSCP code, you have to do random detect. I think it's DSCP value, something like that. I should fire up a router right now and see. But yeah, so I learned that. That did not go a plan. Okay. Oh man, Crisco coming in for the clutch. Okay, Everest 16.5. Might have been 16.6, but I'm sure this will work. Okay, for you figure aggregate ether channel quality of service. Okay. So service policy input. Oh, do you need this command right here? This is ASR 1000. Yeah, this would be ISR. So I'll have to check. Yeah, I did not look at I called myself searching the docs, but it was late, y'all. It was like midnight. I was like, this is not super critical. I did not have any configuration there before. So right now things are still hitting, there's a lot of scavenger traffic. And that's fine, but I am still using some some queuing tools. So one option uses sub interface on port channel, imply policy there instead of main interface. Interesting, yeah. But what I realized I needed to do last night is like, well, it is true that implement sub interface ISR 4K on 60C bottom of dock. Okay, man, you're awesome, Crisco. How to unconfigure, okay, how to unconfigure bottom of dock. ISR. In Cisco Everest, this feature was implemented. Cisco ISR was implemented on GEC port channel sub interface. Okay, what is GEC? GEC. I'm not familiar with GEC. So, as with most Cisco documentation, they're going to assume you know already all the acronyms. Well, here's an exception. Gigabit Ether channel. Okay. Why would you need an acronym for that? Anyway. This is the other link, shows what options are supported. Aha, here we go. Ether channel VLAN based load balancing. LACP, okay. General MQCQS support on port channel main interface. We recommend that as a best practice that you use port channel aggregation. Aggregate Ether channel quality of service chapter, which is the other link, right? The aggregate Ether feature allows you to apply an aggregate egress queuing policy map on a port channel main interface or so. This enables QoS support an aggregate port channel main interface. Restrictions. They configure on the EVC, PoE, VPLS, XConnect. MPO policy applied on both aggregate port channel main interface and port channel sub interface is not supported. Yeah, I'm going to have to go through this. I think it is definitely a platform thing. But yeah, I really didn't have the energy to research it last night. Among other changes. So there were several other changes that I was involved with. Everything went well today, though. Yeah, it's a lot of reading and detailed. And I could open a case, too. I might just open a TAC case on that. Because it was interesting, the error message, I wish I could reproduce it. I need to go through my logs again. Yeah, basically, sub-interface or VLAN load are your main option, ISR 4K. Yeah. Well, what I really, the other thing I realized is, and this was going to be a later phase because it involves a different team. But let's say you have like a WAN router here. Let's say you have like a distribution switch. Okay, and then you have like a firewall, WAN router, and then you have provider. let's say you have an MPLS link right here. Again, this is not my exact situation, but I'm just throwing something out here, right? So let's say you apply a shaping configuration here. And you apply class-based weighted fair queuing, and you apply a red, multiple tools here, right? But that would be for egress. So we would say egress. All fine and good. And then MPLS link service provider. And this, you know, what I was doing last night is part of a multi sort of tiered project. It did not all involve QoS, but it did involve adding some QoS. But really what I need to do here is go closer to the source, right? You want to get as close to the source of the traffic as possible. And in this particular case, let's say I have a firewall. So really, I want to go down the line here and mark. Let's say this is a server, right? Distribution switch, firewall, WAN router, MPLS. So you really want to mark here if you can. But I know this is not going to happen because I know the applications. But either at the switch or the firewall, it's best to classify and mark on the way out. And of course, have QoS here as well, right? On this side of the link and on this side of the link. So yeah, this is one phase. I've got some egress QoS here, and I'm going to back it up and involve other teams. And we'll do these, we'll get the flow all the way through. And that's just in one place, one location. So yeah, it's there's a lot involved. Some of the other things implemented really well though, and man, I'm really enjoying learning this QoS stuff. So, and I have to say, it is one of the more difficult sections that I've encountered in preparing for the CCIE lab. I've been on it for 2 months, and off and on, and it's been a very busy 2 months. It hasn't been solid. I haven't had the time I've wanted, but hopefully this weekend we can knock out. I don't have any major things going on that I'm aware of. I do have like a family event tomorrow night, but yeah, I hope to really get through the labs this weekend and wrap up the INE workbook. I finished reading, except for the chapter on LAN QoS. I'm finished that, and I need to review the blueprint and see how much of it is there. There are no labs for that in the INE workbook. I don't anticipate needing to study that a lot. I'm studying for CCIE using INE blueprint. Just started QoS, but had some basic work experience to start. Raging Gosu, well, welcome. Glad to have you, and that's great. I'm assuming routing and switching, since you're doing QoS. I mean, it could be service provider. But yeah, QoS is a tough topic, and but it is very powerful. One thing I was disappointed about, I did some research on NBAR. Guess one of those topics that the more you know, the more you realize you don't know. Yes, that's what I'm learning. So NBAR, I played with NBAR a little bit yesterday. Yeah, a lot of topics are like that, as I've learned, but QoS especially. But so I thought, okay, I've got some access lists set up for classification, right? And there's a number of different types of traffic going over this particular set of links. Let me see what NBAR has to offer. So this is the first time I've done this, but I actually went on Cisco site, logged in, had to log in, and looked up the latest PDLM download package, just to see what NBAR had to offer, and I wasn't extremely impressed. I understand there are a lot of challenges with NBAR. NBAR download Cisco. Let's see if we can just find it. I went through the menu. Yeah, the protocol library. So I downloaded this latest protocol pack, which is 42. And I think I was looking at the, yeah, so it lists all the protocols. So I was looking for SMB, right? I think it's secure message block, not simple. I think it is secure message block, which is usually TCP port 445. Couldn't find it. So I searched Microsoft, right? The only one I found is Microsoft DS. NetBIOS. Okay, this does 445. I could have swore I searched for Microsoft yesterday. So this would actually fit. I could have, okay, this would actually work. Yeah, CIFS. Thank goodness. There was, what else? There's something else I looked for and didn't find it. Okay, yeah, CIFS is also can be used TCP 445. That's good. Okay, well, maybe I need to CBS Sports. Does it say when this is introduced? Wow, CBS Sports uses quick. Interesting. Okay. What else did I look for that I thought, you know, oh, I did look for Azure also, just out of curiosity. I thought there was one for Azure, but it was a very generic. What's going on here? Did it just, oh, it just sent me to, gotcha. So annoying. That's not really how I expect an index to work. It had a Windows Store and a Windows Azure. And yeah, I see these 53 is used. 8443, 5353. Traffic class bulk data. Oh, this does work on iOS. Okay. That's great, man. 150 hours of study, Raging Ghost. I wish you the best. I wish you the best. Just only thing I can say is it's great to set a time limit. Just be flexible. Whether you need less time or more time, right? But it is, I agree. I always put goals like that too. I put time goals. Windows update, that's cool. So, all right. I may try to use this then. I may try to use some of these. What was the other one I was curious about? And I was like, really? That's cool. Hangouts. All right. All right. It has Netflix. Cool. NetFlow. Disney web portal. Man, this is very specific. I mean, this is almost getting to be, this is bordering on like content filtering, which is, I guess this is what it is. Wow. Amazon Instant Video. Bitcoin. Bitbucket. Wow, they're okay. Concur. Interesting. Oh, do they have one for Cisco? No, there are no in-bar filters for application recognition for Cisco. Of course not. Oh, yeah, they do. I was going to say. All right, why can I not search for Cisco and find it? Oh, it did this time. Okay. Yeah, Cisco Collab, WebEx, you know they're going to have that. Yeah. Okay, nice. So yeah, I may give this another spin. It may be more. My access list was getting kind of long, and I'm like, this is what NBAR is for. So I may go back and adjust NBAR. In the 98C video, Brian mentioned making your own NBAR. So yeah, I've heard about that too. Flexible packet matching. I've not looked into that either. So anyway, I also got, I'm always looking for analogies for networking. We had a sprint review today, and I was talking to some people, and I was trying to explain hot potato routing in this particular scenario. And I was like, you know what? So let's say you have to fly from Florida. You want to fly from Florida to San Diego. And if you, there have only been flights from Florida. There was not a direct flight before. Before you'd have to go from Florida, Orlando, to Houston to San Diego. Well, now we're offering direct flights from Orlando to San Diego. That's basically what we did in this particular scenario, and with hot potato routing. So instead of you having to traverse another link to get to that place, you fly direct. I don't know. It made it is simple, right? But there were a number of non-networking people there, and they're like, it was like, okay. So it just seemed to be a pretty effective. Now I'll have to remember, and I know I've seen others like this in the past, but airports and flights and things like that, I'm gonna try to remember that more often. And because we're explaining this stuff all the time, right, to non-networkers. Anyway, thanks for hanging out, folks. Good stuff learned. No labs tonight. I'm pretty tired. I got up. I mean, I 6.5 hours maybe. Didn't go to the gym. Went right to work. Was up late working on that stuff. So anyway, I'll be back. I'm off Friday evenings. So Saturday we'll be back on. We'll be talking about QoS and doing some labs from the INE workbook, the QoS labs. So thanks for hanging out. Appreciate the chats and the help in the chat, as always. All help is always appreciated. And hope you all have a great night and good luck in your studies and your projects and your CAB meetings and whatever other networking you're doing. And we shall see you back here this weekend. Hey, you too, Raging. Thank you very much. We'll see you back here on Saturday here on a Land Tamer stream. Have a good night and have a great Friday.